Hello and welcome to News Now. I'm your host, Taylor Inman. We're going over the week's biggest headlines for Northwest Montana. Montana is suing Yellowstone National Park over a plan to increase the number of bison in and around the park and establish greater tolerance for their presence outside its boundaries. In a press release announcing the lawsuit, Montana Governor Greg Gianforte criticized the National Park Service for how it developed the plan, describing the effort as an example of, quote, federal overreach and saying it was created without proper state consultation. The state is asking the U.S. District Court to halt the plan's implementation and send park administrators back to the drawing board. The Montana Department of Livestock and Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks are also plaintiffs in the lawsuit, which alleges the National Park Service made procedural errors in developing the plan and failed to take into account the concerns of the livestock industry. Wildlife advocates criticize the lawsuit, arguing that bison, America's national mammal, belongs on the landscape and that Montana had adequate opportunity to weigh in on the park's proposal. More than 27,000 people commented on the plan, which was celebrated by some conservationists and disdained by others for the compromises it incorporated. The plan, formally adopted earlier this year to replace a version enacted in 2000, directs wildlife managers to aim for a herd of 3,500 to 6,000 animals, a modest expansion of the population target established more than 20 years ago. It also calls for an expanded bison hunting and gives bison greater flexibility to roam beyond the tolerance zones along the park's northern and western edges. The latter change is supported by Custer-Gallatin National Forest, which manages much of the land adjacent to the park. Yellowstone bison have historically been confined to the park due to the concern that they may spread brucellosis, which can cause cattle to abort their young. But as the new plan notes, updated research has found that elk have transmitted brucellosis to cattle more than 24 times since 2000, while there hasn't been a single recorded case of bison to cattle transmission of the disease. A spokesperson for Yellowstone National Park said the Park Service will review the lawsuit and, quote, let the legal process play out. The plan was developed amidst several years of tumult and bison management across multiple agencies. To read this full story, go to dailyinterlake.com. A 37-year-old Kalispell woman died in a crash early New Year's Day near Creston after another vehicle crossed the center line and struck her vehicle head-on, according to authorities. The collision occurred on Montana 35 near mile marker 43 at about 1:26 a.m., according to a Montana Highway Patrol report issued Wednesday evening. A 30-year-old Kalispell woman was driving a Subaru Forester westbound on Montana 35 when she crossed into the eastbound lane of traffic and hit the 37-year-old's Kia Rio in the front left corner. The collision caused the Kia to spin and roll onto the driver's side. The Kia driver died at the scene. The Subaru driver was taken to Logan Health Medical Center with injuries. She was investigated for DUI, according to the report. Speed is suspected as a factor in the crash. Road conditions were listed as dry. Both drivers were wearing seat belts, and there were no other occupants in either vehicle. A skier narrowly escaped injury after triggering an avalanche in a popular backcountry area near Whitefish Mountain Resort over the weekend. The close call in Canyon Creek was among a rash of human-triggered slides near the resort amid heightened avalanche danger due to recent heavy snowfall. According to an incident report compiled by the Flathead Avalanche Center on Monday, a skier and slipboarder were in an out-of-bounds area known as Oz on December 29th. The skier descended a portion of the upper terrain and ducked behind a tree to wait for his partner to come down. The slope fractured above him before the partner dropped in, causing a wall of snow to hit the skier and pin him against a tree. Both his skis were knocked off and he dog paddled to stay above the moving snow. He was buried waist deep when the slide stopped but was not injured. The incident report noted that getting pinned against the tree likely kept the skier from suffering serious trauma. Meanwhile, a skier with a separate group began descending the same slope in the Oz area. Not knowing an avalanche had just occurred, the skier triggered another small slide, but was able to escape its path. The first party hiked back up the mountain and traveled back into the resort boundary, with each using one half of the splitboard. They made it to the back of the resort just in time to catch the last chair of the day. The Avalanche Center noted that the duo was well prepared with food and extra clothing and was familiar with the terrain. The second group was able to ski back to the resort as well, but not before the lift stopped running, requiring them to skin out of Canyon Creek via the Ridge Run slope. That same day, a skier triggered an avalanche in Canyon Creek, out of bounds and below the Flower Point lift at Whitefish Mountain Resort. No one was caught in the slide. On December 28th, a skier set off a slide in the Ghoulies area just outside of the resort boundary, while another skier caused a slide dropping into one of the skook chutes above Canyon Creek. There were no injuries in either of those close calls. All told, there were 6 reported avalanches in the backcountry around Whitefish Mountain Resort over the weekend. Avalanche danger in the Whitefish Range was rated as moderate on Tuesday, December 31st. Up to 3 feet of new snow was stressing weak layers in the snowpack. Whitefish Mountain Resort reported more than 23 inches of new snow over the last week. Backcountry users were warned to stick to lower slope angles and avoid traveling in the runout zones of large avalanche paths. Thanks for joining us. News Now is a podcast from the Daily Interlake. We're proud to be the largest independent newsroom in Montana and the longest continuously published newspaper in the region. Local journalism is important, and subscribing to your local newspaper is one of the best things you can do for your community. The Daily Interlake is celebrating its 135th birthday with a special subscription offer of only $19.50 per month for a home-delivered newspaper plus full digital access to all 8 of our award-winning independent newspapers. Give us a call at 406-755-7018 to sign up today and do your part to keep community journalism alive and thriving. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode of the pod. Happy New Year, everybody. Everybody stay safe and have a great week. Thanks to our sponsor, Lauren's Auto Repair at 1309 U.S. Highway 2 in Kalispell. Most consistently rated 5-star shop serving the Kalispell area. Visit lawrensauto.com.